Alright, first and foremost, I am recording this on the day of Halloween, so I just wanted to wish anyone a happy Halloween if you are watching this on Halloween. If you're watching it after Halloween, hope you did have a good Halloween. Today I am making a video on my settings, as I've gotten a couple comments asking what my settings were on a couple of my platforms, that being TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube as well. So I figured I might as well just make a settings video just in general. This works for both Battlefield 6 if you're playing the normal gameplay as far as multiplayer, or if you're going to be playing RedSec as well. This applies for both games, so if you are just curious to see what my settings are, I will show you along this video. Color profiles, we're gonna look here. I have my color presets to Trinopia. Default one, as you can see, these colors here, you got friendly, squad, enemy. You can choose which one you guys want. I personally have always run Trinopia on pretty much all games really, FPS related. I think these are the same presets that you'll find in Call of Duty and other previous Battlefields. I've always ran this setting, so this is a color preset I have. Camera effects, this is really important actually. Turn on your world motion blur and your weapon motion blur. Not to mention camera shake amount, this is really important to change. This pretty much reduces the amount of visual camera shake you see when you're in the game. Not to mention reduce sprint camera bobbing, this is really important as well. Pretty much these settings are just to make it a lot easier to get rid of all the clutter gameplay that the game brings. Even though the game is amazing graphically and what it brings to the table compared to other FPS games, if you're trying to play this as a competitive shooter, it's really important that you copy those settings for sure. All right, going down. Controls, I'll just scroll through here. I don't really want to explain too much. I don't think there's anything here that is crucial. Again, these might be personal preference, especially in my keybinds area. So keep that in mind. I will mention the ones that I really do think you should change though in general. Scrolling down, like I said, you can pause the video if you guys really want to. Hold and toggle, again, personal preference. I'll scroll through just so you guys can see. Capture, our area outline, these look like they're all pretty basic. So we'll go to infantry aim sensitivity. Actually, we'll go through that when we go to mouse and keyboard because these are in two different spots of the menu screen. So we'll get to these when we get down to the mouse and keyboard, the nitty gritty. But other than that, scrolling down, as you can see, parachute auto deploy, I have this on tethered only, so I am the one that deploys my parachute and therefore I can get down to the ground quicker. If you guys also see any settings in here that I have that are not probably the best settings to have, let me know down in the comments below, just because this is again my settings, so I don't know exactly what other streamers or other YouTubers run. These are just what I have done personally and with a few tips from my friends. Everything in here looks to be pretty much the same. Advanced HUD and icon settings. I'll scroll down. I don't think I changed anything in these settings right here, but I'll just scroll down just for the hell of it. Coming back, one thing I do change though is I changed my minimap size to large. This is really important because the game normally puts you at medium or small. Having it on large is a huge deal just because you can actually see on the minimaps where people are when they shoot. I think the maps are too small, the normal setting they have it. I don't know if it was medium or small, but having it on large is a big deal. Coming down, I don't think any of these are changed. Again, infantry crosshair projection, that is off. And then these are also personal preference. So hit indicators, these are the colors that you can change to hit indicators in the game. So for me, I personally like having blue as my kill color. It's just my favorite color is light blue. That is what I run on my setup as well with my LED lights. So I don't know, I just thought it would be cool to match with my setup. Headshot color I have on red. This is actually pretty useful. Everything else is pretty standard, pretty same. Again, this is all personal preference. These are what I have. I've gotten comments on how to change them actually. Hit indicator in the HUD setting is where you change the color settings. Scrolling down, I don't see anything else that I changed. Chat visibility when active, that's another personal preference. Campaign, this is I think obsolete. I have not played the campaign yet. Controller settings, I do play on mouse and keyboards, so I'm sorry if you are on controller. I don't have any good controller settings for you. But that being said, if you play on mouse and keyboard, I will give you guys a quick mouse and keyboard settings that I have. So sensitivity. Sensitivity is all personal preference. Okay, I actually just recently changed my sensitivity to be a little bit quicker. I run on a 1600 DPI sensitivity for my mouse cursor, and then I run a in-game sensitivity of 10. I used to actually run 800 DPI on a 10 sensitivity, which is really slow. And just now I actually just switched my sensitivity to be a little bit higher. So control settings, one big tip that I found out that I just changed that really helps with your aim and your mouse delay is normally what's going to happen is you're going to have this uniform infantry aiming on, okay? But what's going to happen is if you scroll down, you're going to notice that zoom, transition, sensitivity, smoothing is going to be on, but you cannot turn it off, okay? You want to turn it off because I've noticed that this makes my mouse raw input a lot better. So that being said, to turn that off, you go up here, uniform infantry aiming, you turn that off, you scroll down. Right here, you see zoom, transition, sensitivity, smoothing. Normally it's gonna be on, you turn that off, you scroll back up, and then you turn back on uniform infantry aiming. After you do that, one thing I did change is the zoom sensitivity coefficient. There are 3 settings that you should try out and see what works best for you. I personally run on 0. The settings should be 0, 1.33, or 1.78. Just try those 3 and see which one you like best. I honestly don't know what this means. This has been in many games such as Warzone, Rainbow Six Siege as well, any other FPS games. I just know it depends on your monitor size. Personally, I found that 0 worked best for me here. So field of view, this is personal preference. Most people play on a field of view of 120. People like me, I like to play on pretty much all my FPS games. I've always liked having a maxed out field of view. It's just personal preference. The pros to having a max FOV is you have the least amount of visual recoil versus a lower FOV. However, the downside is the enemies on your screen are a little bit smaller. So just find out what you like, personal preference. Most people play on 110. I like to play on 120. So figure out which one you like most. If you struggle with aiming or trying to keep your reticle on targets, or you struggle with seeing enemies, try a lower FOV. But if you are totally fine, just stick to whatever you like. I'll scroll down because I don't know what settings here I have changed. So pause the video if you guys want to. All my zoom aim sensitivities are pretty much the same. That's one important thing, is I have not changed anything with my zoom aim sensitivities. Yeah, all my settings here are pretty much the same. So going on to graphics, do performance preset, do custom, graphics quality, custom. And then what you're going to want to do is, depending on what type of computer you have, I play on PC. I don't know what the settings are going to be like for console players, but for me on PC, I have a pretty good PC, so I can manage to get away with a little bit higher settings than most people. I try to max out as much FPS as I can, while also making sure that the game doesn't look absolutely horrible, even though it's pretty hard in a game like Battlefield where the graphics are pretty good regardless. So that being said, texture quality is the only thing that I have on high. Everything else though is pretty much on low. Shadow filtering is PCF. Coming down here, everything else is on low. So those are my graphic settings. World brightness I have in 50, UI brightness 750, sharpness 55, advanced. If you have a NVIDIA graphics card, I highly suggest that you have the reflex low latency on enabled plus boost. I personally recommend running DLSS on, especially in a game like this. The game is really optimized. I don't think I really need to. I have a 5080, so I think I'm totally fine with turning this off completely. But I do like the extra frames that I get. One thing I will probably change back though is I will have quality as my upscaling quality. I don't know why that was on performance. If you have a graphics card that is above a 40 series and you're trying to get pretty high FPS, you can turn on your NVIDIA multi-frame generation. I actually have noticed this is not horrible. Pretty much this creates fake frames using AI, and it actually does make a difference with making the game look smoother. However, one thing I do notice though, especially if you have this up higher, around 4 or 3, because I was streaming on this PC before I had my dual streaming PC setup. When I had this on to get more frames while I was streaming, I did notice that I did have a lot of mouse input latency. So I don't know if that was more something on my end that I was struggling with, but give it a shot and see what you guys figure out what would be best for you. I personally just have it on off just so I have no delay whatsoever. But if you are running a little bit of a more budget friendly graphics card, definitely turn it on. It does not really make that much of a difference with any type of latency in the game. The only thing I noticed was just my mouse was being a little bit weird with it on, but it also could have been because I again was streaming, so my computer probably was doing a lot more. And then I have this personal preference. I have performance overlay on simple. This is just so I can see what FPS I get throughout the game. This is just again another personal preference. Coming down, normally master volume is at 100. I just turned down to 0 for this video. Music volume I have at 20 because I do actually like having music in the subtle background. Everything else is on pretty much at 100. Sound system I have on headphones. Audio mix, this is personal preference as well. War tapes makes this game sound like you're actually in a full-on battlefield, so I have it on war tapes. Audio in the background, these are all the same. And then these are pretty much depending on personal preference. Coming down here, system, nothing's changed in here. Extras, nothing is changed in here. And then that is it. So that is pretty much it for the rest of the video on my basic Battlefield 6 settings. This again works for both Battlefield 6 regular multiplayer and Battlefield 6 RedSec. If you guys did notice any settings that I have that were on or off that you guys would recommend turning pretty much the opposite way from what I have it, let me know down in the comments below, as these are just my settings. They're not perfect, but they are the settings that people have been asking for, so I might as well make a video on it. That being said, happy Halloween to anyone that's watching this Halloween. That's the day of me recording this, and if you're watching this after Halloween, hope you guys had a good Halloween. Take care.